Okay, good afternoon. We're here at the Stubai Cup 2023 and we're talking to Luc Armant, who's the designer of the new Photon, which is the ENC two-liner, which is just launched today.
So this is the first time we introduce an ENC two-liner, and first time a two-liner in this aspect ratio category. So this similar aspect ratio than the Mantra M7. That was the start of the project to work from the Mantra M7, and but we wanted to make it more jumped and easier to manage in the turbulence and in the feedback than the Mantra M7. So it would be an intermediate between this Mantra and the Delta.
Okay, who's it for? Who is the glider
for? So this glider is for pilots coming from Delta 4, for example, or Alpina, or even coming from Rush with a lot of flying, could jump into this glider.
Okay.
It's quite a straightforward glider to fly with, nothing really special. For sure there is the aspect ratio that needs to be...
and what is the aspect ratio?
The aspect ratio is the same as 6.5.
6.5?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. What performance did you want to give to the Photon?
Yeah, for the Photon we wanted maximum performance we can get out of the ENC category. And so we have more targeted the Xeno 2 than the rest of the gliders on our range. So, but compared now to Delta 4 or Mantra 7 or even Zeolite GT, we are clearly a step up in performance.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
okay.
Glide efficiency is quite good.
Okay. Have you got any numbers that you can give us? I know numbers are always difficult.
Yeah, it's not difficult, we don't have any numbers.
Yeah.
we really work on comparatively.
So compared to the Delta 4, what is the glide like?
Yeah. Compared to Delta 4, we have almost 1 point more. It's really significant. When you fly on side with the Delta 4, same size, same pilot, same harness, then you can see this pace, like 15 centimeters per second. Or something.
Okay, wow. And speed?
So in speed, we are just a little bit more than the Delta 4, which is already quite good in speed. But it's not extreme speed like the Xeno 2, for sure.
What are the challenges of making a two-line ENC glider?
Well, that's a challenge for the designer. So the challenge is to make the good feel, the good feedback from the turbulence, still keeping this well-known structure, two-liner structure. But we are really experienced in making two-liners in a higher category, competition wings and END. And now we had to adapt our structure to make a different feel for ENC category. Okay. So the challenge was more to adapt to the different pilot. So it's not as stiff, not as aggressive, and more. So we had to enter in the pilot's skin and adapt the design. Okay.
Sure. And one of the big obvious things is it has winglets. And quite a few of the Ozone gliders now have winglets. Can you explain what the winglets are for?
So the winglets is a long story for us, but it's the first time we introduced this year. But for example, for the Delta 2, though back in the day, we were thinking of introducing it because we like the way it's dampening or exiting the spiral, the ground spiral.
Okay.
So this.
So it helps the exit.
It helps the exit, yeah. And we like to work with quite circular arc, quite high arc, which are very nice for handling, and also nice for asymmetrical collapse behavior. When you have a high arc circular, you have an asymmetrical, and then it doesn't dive in turn; it tends to stay straight. Okay. Which is a very nice feature for safety. But the downside of this kind of arc is when you go in steep spiral or deep spiral, then you can have a neutral behavior depending on the way you entry the spiral.
What's neutral behavior?
A neutral behavior is if you do nothing, you keep the speed and keep the G, and
so it stays in the spiral.
It stays in the spiral, and that's depending because there are many type of spiral airflow, and that's depending on the way you entry the spiral.
Okay.
And even though you can have some wings which are past certification, you can find some ways to make them stay in the spiral.
Stay in the spiral. So the winglets.
So typically E&D wings like Mantra M7 or Xeno 2, if you really find a work on the spiral, you can find some neutrality.
Yeah.
And it is completely okay for experienced pilots.
Because you can steer out of it.
Of course, it's just a matter of some outside input. But for inexperienced pilots, the fact you can build G quickly and they're not used to IG, they can become disorientated and they would, for example, pull on the wrong side or not used to the fact it's higher pressure on the brake, or many possibilities that make them lost and then panic, and it can be a very dangerous situation. So for this type of glider, we wanted really something not bringing too much G and exiting from spiral. And so the winglets are mostly for that. We also have another things on this wing. Is we have a compartment of the wing near wingtip. It's the same feature on the Delta 4 too, which is designed to have less pressure while going into the spiral. So when you go in deep spiral, you'll see the outside portion of wing with less pressure, flapping, which is a feature that we have made on purpose to reduce the G load.
Okay.
But we wanted that winglet to be not in that portion to still be effective.
Yeah.
And the other benefit of that winglet that we saw recently is we can keep this nice arc with a better roll damping.
Okay.
Because usually this arc you need to really know well the dynamic of the glider to manage to damp the yaw. There is a kind of roll-yaw combination that can be tricky to damp, especially when you're not a very experienced pilot. With this winglets, you can do it more easily.
Okay, cool. So what can a pilot expect? What advice would you have for a pilot who's coming to the Photon from, say, the Delta, or is new to two-liners?
No, there is really nothing special to be said.
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
well, I mean, it's a paraglider.
Yeah,
so.
it's a paraglider.
Yeah.
Anything pilots need to know about SIV,
Yeah.
the Photon?
Yeah. So on a two-liner, you can't really pull a collapse with your risers because you can imagine the air risers are the same effect than the speed system. It's a speed system. So it doesn't really make sense to accelerate a wing instead of collapsing it. So because of the structure, it does not work. So if you want to do some collapse training, you need to have the collapse line kit. You need to get in touch with the SIV instructor for sure. They now know quite well how to use collapse lines because there's some specificity of collapse lines. There are some techniques, so it's good to not do it by yourself for sure. Yeah, still is easy.
Yeah.
Easy.
No surprises in this glider, basically.
No. Yeah. We have a very long brake range, and then the bottom part is really forgiving, and you can store it easily as well.
And what about launching? Anything?
Launching is very easy.
Yeah.
It just launched quite well. We made quite a good progress in launching two-liner matter, with developing also the X-Alp wings because they want to launch in any kind of condition, including downwind and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
So now we can make really easy to take off or to end.
Have you got a new X-Alp wing coming?
Yep, that's our plan.
Okay.
It's we are a bit late. And,
yeah, it's like this month, isn't it?
Yeah,
At the end of the month, or 15th or something?
Deadline is 20 or 21 March.
Okay.
And we're very late, so just after this event, I think we try to have a slot.
Okay.
To the certification body, which is very busy.
Is there anything you can tell us about that X-Alp wing? Is it going to be based on the Photon or?
Yeah, the Photon is the base of the structure.
Okay.
Because it's quite good structure for weight. Sorry. So we use the base of the structure, but combination with the zero light from 2 years ago.
Okay.
And we also use this very light material from DSM, which is less than 13 grams per square meter.
The same as before?
Yeah.
They're very expensive material.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
the golden yarn.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's like 30 euro per square meter.
Wow, okay. So how many pilots are in flying Ozone, do you know?
I'm not in that department, but possibly 4, 5, 6.
4, 5, okay.